to see what performs best for your type of account. And that's also great news if you're on other social media platforms and you want to share it to Pinterest. So, Instagram, if you are posting as a square, or YouTube, and so on, there's no penalization. You're going to be distributed just as much as other ratio pins. Finally, another update is that we're going to be able to be adding even more information to our pins. So, a disclaimer, if you haven't seen these updates in your account yet, is because Pinterest is slowly adding these updates. So all of the accounts will eventually go under this new update, but yours might still be under the older version. So for example, you might still be able to create idea pins, but just know that later it's not really going to be showing as like kind of like those Instagram story where the user needs to kind of press to see the next one. It is going to be showing as a continuous video, and as a matter of fact, now you're going to be able to add longer videos than 60 seconds. So that is a game changer, especially for video content creators. So very excited. And as I mentioned, you're going to be able to add more information right off the bat when you're creating your pins. You can add ingredients or supplies. For example, if you're creating a recipe or a DIY project, or notes, which I would highly recommend that you utilize. Everything's about optimization. So if you see a space or an option, a feature that you can add information that is relevant to your content. So if ingredients are not really relevant to your content, don't use it. But if you can use it, then go ahead and use it. Use as many keywords as you can. Also with topics and tags, don't use hashtags anymore. We've already talked about this update. But if you can add alt text, if you can add topics and tags, go ahead and use it and add your highly searched keywords and relevant keywords. So we're going to be able to add even more information, and we're going to be able to edit them afterwards. So idea pins used to be really tricky. You couldn't really add it after that, after you posted titles or anything. And now everything, even after publishing, you can add it, the link, description, title, everything. So these changes are super exciting. There's a few other things that Pinterest is planning on rolling very soon, and I'm going to stay on top of it to keep you updated. But in summary, I have to say that although platforms, social media platforms, and all of these different softwares are constantly changing, what you have to keep in mind is that they're not trying to sabotage you. They're trying to help you grow with the times. So if Pinterest sees that videos are performing really well with users across all platforms, they're going to be introducing that. If they see that other things are performing well, they're going to try to bring it to Pinterest. So always try to stay up to date with Pinterest's latest features. And whenever you see something that is in beta or they're testing out, I would encourage you to test it. Pinterest is planning on bringing this live TV concept, for example. So see how that can apply to your business, because Pinterest wants to see results from these new tools. So they're going to encourage and give a little push to these types of content. So if you have any questions, leave those in the Q&A below. As I mentioned, I'll leave the links to the updates also in the resources below. And with that being said, let's get to the next video. All right, so now let's talk about the second key for Pinterest success, which are eye-catching images. And we start by talking about some general tips and tricks that were gathered from personal experience, from extensive research from other accounts, from Pinterest experts, as well as this Curate study, and I hope I pronounced it right, but Curate study that they performed, analyzing several types of pins and engagement and how people reacted to it and all that. So let's go ahead and see the first tip. So the first tip is about brightness, contrast, and saturation. And it's been shown from studies and from my own experience that users are most likely to click on images that are brighter rather than darker, as you can see in this example, and to have a higher contrast and saturation rather than like a desaturated image or or doesn't have a lot of contrast within the image, or as I'm going to show, not just within the image, but image and text, the relationship between image and text. You can see here in this example that it is a little bit hard to read this text over here, even though they did add that shadow behind. But because the image has so much white and then the text is also white, it is a little bit hard to read, especially when you're seeing it on mobile, because the pins become much smaller when you're seeing it on mobile. Or something like this text is so hard to read. There's no shadow behind separating the color black from the darker tones of the image. So brighter images, more contrast, more saturation. You don't need to overdo it, but you just need to, have that common sense from inspiration. A lot of people pin photos for inspiration, not just for what the content shows, but also the image itself to inspire them and motivate them for a certain thing, for a trip, for a recipe, for fitness and all that. So tip number 2 was also found through the correlate study is that users tend to click more on images that have vibrant colors as opposed to cooler colors. So this image, for example, like showing 2 different smoothies, this one with the vibrant colors with red and pink and these warmer colors are more likely to be clicked on than the cooler ones in general. Again, these are general tips, and you can absolutely succeed even if you don't follow all of these tips to a T. For example, this one is a blueberry banana smoothie. But people interested in the blueberry smoothie, they're expecting it to see a blue, not red or green or another color. So, there's definitely some room for you to play with it. You don't have to always be pinning things that are brighter, having vibrant colors. It might not even go with your brand necessarily. So these are just general tips in case you have that room to choose and it makes sense for you to choose. The next tip is about quality and resolution. And maybe you can't see it really well, but this is like the same image just with a lot more better quality and resolution and lower resolution. And you can see that on the top one, you can see a lot more details. And all these tips end up playing together. For example, a lower resolution image will most likely have less contrast because the pixels starts blending in, so there's less separation between the lines. Most of the time they will be darker as well, so just keep in mind on resolution. If, for example, you're using an image that is really small and you want to do what we talked about on the format, you want to do 1000 by 1500, you have to stretch it. Keep in mind that's going to compromise the quality as well, and that plays into your pin graphic success and users actually clicking on your images. And then next, again, this is just a general tip, but it's been shown that you should avoid script fonts and text overload. So first, let's talk about script fonts. The main reason why, in my opinion, and for what I researched, you should avoid these fonts, it's because you only have a few seconds to grab the user's attention when they're scrolling through their home feed. And a lot of times, script fonts compromise legibility. So if they cannot understand immediately what your pin is about, if they can quickly distinct and read that text very quickly, they will just skip it and not click on your pin. Obviously, there are several different types of scripted fonts. So if you are going to use it, try using some more legible fonts. Now, when do I think you should use it, or you could use it? Script fonts are beautiful, and they definitely get some emotion out of you. So let's say you were in the niche that is like weddings. You want that romantic feel, that emotion that script fonts get out of you. So I absolutely think that you can use it. There are ways that you use it well. I don't think you should overuse it, and also take it into consideration size. And then now I talk about text overload. As you can see here, I honestly look at this and I do not want to read it. There are 4 lines of text, all the same size. Again, you could still be successful, okay, not following these rules, but in general, do not overload on your text. And then, like I mentioned here, think about the text hierarchy. So use different sizes, like use different colors, different sizes, different types of fonts, different thickness of the letters, and that's going to help give priority to the main keyword, and also it's going to help with legibility for the user to quickly understand what your whole pin is about, and it looks much better too, which we want. We want eye-catching images, beautiful, click-worthy images. Next, use keywords in your pin text and on the metadata. So, for example, I'm going to go ahead and show you the example of this. Look at all the text, and it's almost like a description that they are using on this pin. So they say, my first flight this year after the lockdown was an experience, ... I learned more from this trip than all of my previous trips combined. That, like I said, to me, this is a description. I do not want to read it. I look at this, and there's so much text. So again, text overload, and I bet you that they're not using the best keywords that they could use. They could just use first flight after lockdown. On the next pin that I put here as the example, you can see it's a much shorter text, and they say 5 safety travel tips to follow after lockdown. So they probably their keyword research. So safety travel tips or travel tips, probably it's a very important keyword. And then after lockdown, travel after lockdown. So be very intentional about those keywords. Again, you make use of the time that you spend doing your keyword research, and that's going to guarantee not only that you show up, like the SEO, but also that your images are concise and they're click worthy. Okay, next tip is you want to be very benefits based. So this example, there are two pins. One shows leg stretch routine. Okay, that's good, that's useful. But the other one says 9 stretches for lean and sexy legs. So whoever is doing a leg stretch routine, they probably have an end goal. What is the end goal? Are they in pain or do they want to achieve sexy legs? You know, like you should always try to appeal for the end goal of whatever your content is about. So you're talking immediately about that benefit or the pain point, what the user is looking for ultimately. So again, always use your main keywords, yes, but try to appeal for the main benefit on your images and on your text. Next, always test the size of your pin for what it would look like on mobile. 95% of users, of Pinterest users, are on mobile, so this is extremely important. So you're creating your graphic, just zoom out until it's very small so you can have a feel of like, okay, this would be the main idea of this pin when someone's scrolling through on mobile, because it is much smaller. And here I show you an example, 24 trips of a lifetime. It's much easier to read on a desktop, and especially depending on the size of your desktop, than on mobile. And obviously this also plays into what we talked about before, which is avoiding script fonts and also the hierarchy. This is a text where everything's script font and there's no different sizes or different colors or anything like that. So always test the size of your pins for what it would look like on mobile, because the majority of users are on mobile, and you want to make sure the main point of your pin is coming across quickly, even on a smaller size. And then next, in the study, it also shows that images that include people are clicked 28% less. So for this example, there's the garage pergola. There's one image where the person's actually putting the pergola together, and the other one's the finished product. And the second image is a lot more likely to get clicked on and saved than the first image with the person. But this rule, it's very general. There are a lot of times where this doesn't apply, especially because most users prefer lifestyle images. So lifestyle images will most likely have someone in a life-related activity. So if you're trying to sell shoes, for example, you want a lifestyle image of someone actually wearing the shoes. Or for example, if you have a baby product, you might want to use the product actually being used by the baby or on the baby, whatever your product is. But it's nice to get the feeling. You can imagine yourself in the place of that person. But a lot of times you don't include something so personal like someone's face. And then even though I talked about text overload, I forgot to say that there's a little exception too when we're talking about infographics and lists. So lists, infographics, and lifestyle images are the most saved types of pins. So I included here 2 examples. For example, this is a little infographic, people using icons and telling quickly in one image the benefits of apple cider vinegar. And also lists. Not only lists, but like we talked about it in the keyword research principle. So people love these types of lists, and they love it even more when you actually provide the list for them to print. So that is a great lead magnet, great way to get people to your website, is to show them the list in your pin image and then say, click the link for printables. So that's a huge and very useful tip for pin graphic success. And then lastly, it is for you to use videos. So Pinterest not too long ago just started allowing for video pins, not only videos or GIFs and all that. And whenever any platform launches a new feature, you definitely want to test that out, because they can't wait to see the results of that feature. So they will give you priority distribution so they can test that feature better. So videos is definitely, it's not that recent, but it is a more recent feature, and you should definitely use videos for that, but also because it is so eye-catching. It is so engaging. So yeah, again, these are general tips and tricks that I believe we should all follow that have shown to be successful for pin graphics. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get to actually creating our graphics. So there are a lot of ways and different tools that you can use to create your pin graphics, but the one that I'm going to be recommending on this course, and the one that I'm going to be showing you how to use it step by step, is going to be Canva. So Canva is the best tool in my opinion because, one, it's free. It does have the upgraded version where you have access to some additional tools, but the free version is already amazing. You can do everything that you need to create amazing Pinterest graphics without having to upgrade, without having to pay anything. It's also very user-friendly, one of the most user-friendly tools that I know for graphics. And it also has already a lot of resources within the platform, including pre-made templates for several different types of social media, Instagram, YouTube, banner or Pinterest pins and all that. So it is a great tool if you hadn't heard about it. But you can also be interested in other tools. For example, a lot of people use Adobe Spark and InDesign. A lot of people also use the Headliner app, which in particularly is great for podcasts because it converts your audio into the the audio waves. And also PicMonkey, which is a little bit more advanced. There's more advanced graphics and all that. But like I said, I personally recommend and use Canva. And what I wanted to stress is that you don't have to be a graphic designer to create stunning images, especially when you have such a user-friendly tool like Canva. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I mean. We're going to go step by step. But I actually went a step further and created a package with 14 pre-made templates for you guys, already with the correct ratio and size and different ideas for grids and how you can overlay the text and all that. So you can just click on this link. I'm also going to leave it in the resources of this course, and then that's going to take you straight to Canva. If you don't have your Canva account yet, it's going to take you to create the account, and then you're going to easily be able to edit that template. So let's go ahead and get to it. So after you create your Canva account, you'll be brought to this homepage. And before we actually create our first pin, I actually wanted to give you guys a quick overview of Canva and its features and how everything works. So this is the homepage. As soon as I log into Canva, what I do is I click here on Create Design. So here you can see that it's going to suggest you all of these different design templates. So for example, Pinterest pins. You can see that it's suggesting a 1000 by 1500 pixel size, which is a 2 by 3. So you could go ahead and just click here and it would automatically create that template for you. You see, there you go. It's already the correct size. But I'm actually going to close this and show you the other way that you can create this. So you can click here on custom dimensions and then input, for example, 1000 by 2000 pixels and then create design. And once it loads, you're going to see all of these different templates here right away. And I want to show you guys all of these different features because this is what we're going to be working with the most in this platform. So I'll come back to templates really quick, but just a quick overview. Here are the templates where you can not only browse through what it's already suggested, but you can search. Let's say you want something around travel, you can just click travel, enter, and then it's going to show you all of these different templates related to your search. Uploads, here you can upload any specific image that you have it yourself. It could be a JPEG file or a video too. And then next we have photos, which is another big reason why I love Canva. It offers you this library of free photos. Well, for the most part, it's free, that you can use in all of your marketing materials. And similarly, you can just browse here all of their suggested photos, which usually go by what's trending at the moment, or you can type something here like travel. There's so many images that are free, and you see here the free image does not have that watermark, so you're free to use all of this. And then we have elements. For elements, you can find things like shapes that you might want to use. For example, if I click here on this square, if I drag it this way, it's going to maintain its proportions and just going to increase it. But I can also change the proportions by using these on its sides. So you can click here and see all, for example, and you can see all of their different options. And you can also, if you go back to elements, you can also just search for something. So let's say I want quotation marks, so quotes. There you go. And I'm going to show you guys soon how to change colors and all that. But this is how you add an element to your project or your page. You can either click on it or you can drag it. Same thing with the photo. But let's actually create a pin really quick so I can start adding all of those elements and show you guys how we can quickly change it and use all of Canva's features here that I'm going to keep showing you guys. So let's go back to photos, and let's say I want to do something related to breakfast. Let's say I have a product business and I sell, for example, garlic presses. I want to create content around food, right? So I'm going to do my keyword research, and let's say, for example, that I found a good keyword that it's breakfast ideas. So I'm going to create my pin based on that. Let me go ahead and just replace this. I could double click and then choose what part of the image I wanted to show. I really like this one. It's very bright and has contrasting colors, which is great. And then I'm going to keep this bar here actually on the elements because I want to really separate my text from the image, but I want to change the color. So you can just click on whatever you want to change and then click here on color and then choose whatever you want. You could use it here at one of these default colors, or you can come here and drag wherever you want, or even input here the code that you want. Let's say I want to keep it this blue to match the blueberries. There you go. I want this color. Great. And then as you start using specific colors and specific fonts as well, as I'm going to show you, it's going to start being more easily available for you under document colors or document fonts and all that. So I'm going to get rid of this quote mark here, and then I'm going to show you guys the next feature, which are text. And then Canva will automatically show you all of these different options of text templates that you can easily just click on it, and then you can easily edit it. So you could just do like foods, anything. But I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to delete this. You just select and click delete because I want to create my own. So I'm going to go ahead and click on add a heading. So what I like to do is put the main keyword, the biggest and boldest. So I usually do, for example, all caps, breakfast, and then what you can do, if you want to adjust the size, you can either do it by adjusting it here, or you can click and then adjust the size here. Here you can choose the font, but I'm going to go ahead and leave this one open sans, and then I'm going to change the color to create more contrast. So I just click here, and I actually want white, and then I'm going to add the rest of the text. You can just space it as you want it. So let's add an element. So for example, this one, I'm going to make it white just so it's easier to see. You can click, and for some things you're able to flip horizontal or vertical. There you go. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the transparency. So if I click on the box here, I actually want to show a little bit more of the image behind. And then I can come here, transparency, and play with it. And then let's just add one more step of contrast. Let's put this, and there you go. Let's say I'm very satisfied with this pin. Another reason why I love Canva is that you can easily duplicate and then change little things about your design. So you can just click here, copy page. See, you have two now. And then remember, we want to create multiple pins around the same topic. So let's say I want to just quickly change this, but keep the format. I can easily come back here to photos and get another breakfast image. There you go. Then I'm going to easily drag it. I want to keep the main keywords the same, but let's say I want to do quick. So you can test all these different secondary words that you use on your text. And for example, we go ahead and change this to like recipes, and then I'll do yellow. And there you go, you have a completely new pin, and then you can move on and go on and on and on to create all these different types of pins, even if it's, again, multiple pins going to the same content, which is what's recommended, but you do want to vary a few things. Vary the secondary words that you use, like quick or delicious, or and vary the image and all that, because you never know what's going to resonate better with the users. So lastly, what you do is you can come here and then download, and it's going to download for you. But before I finish this video, just want to quickly show you these other elements here that we didn't use for this pin, which are music as well as videos, and you definitely want to be using videos for your pins as well. So similarly, you can just say something like food here, and then it's going to show you all of the video ideas, and then you can also choose different backgrounds. Click here, or you could drag it as well, and then Canva is going to automatically populate this pin page. Get back to our image. And then, like I said, folders. Once you create folders, you're going to click here, and it's going to show all of the different options here. So it's easily accessible. You don't have to go back to the home page. The last thing that I wanted to show here on Canva is actually going back to what I quickly mentioned, which are templates. And templates are amazing because a lot of times, like I said, you're not a graphic designer. You don't really know what would look good, the proportion of all of these different elements. So Canva offers you all of these different templates. And like I said, you can just search for one, or you can just look at what they have here. And how you use templates is, let me go ahead and add a new page here. Let me go back to travel. You can just click, and Canva will automatically populate it. But yeah, this way you already have a starting point. And there you go. This is how you use Canva. Again, Canva has lots of different features, but these are the ones that you're probably going to be using the most. These are the most important. And now that you already know how to create your own from scratch, I'm actually going to walk you through the template that I'm giving you guys for free and that I've developed based on my experience, that I know are successful templates for business marketing on Pinterest, and that I know that it's going to drive people to click on your pins. So let's go ahead and get to the next video. Alright, so to have access to the template, you just have to click on the link, and it's going to open and take you straight to that working space that I showed you guys before. And as you can see, hopefully it's very clear that I added this first page, because before you do any edits to this template, please stop and make a copy of this file, because this is a shareable file. This is a shareable Canva template, and if you start making changes here, it's going to change it for everyone else. So the way you create a copy is you come to File, and then click on Make a Copy. And then there you go. You can just go ahead and edit the file. So let's say for me, I'm going to do Ali Pinterest templates. And now you're not messing with the original file. You can do whatever you want here. And there you go. I want to show you guys all of these different options that I did. And I created these in the Pro account, so you'll be able to see that some of these photos have the watermarks, but not the text, not the fonts. All of these are free, and you actually should be switching out these photos, so this is no problem. But I created this template to go with any type of business. It could be something around food, something around a service, products, or travel and all that, or lifestyle images, to where you can use it in so many different ways. There you go. You can see all of these lifestyles and around holidays. and quotes and all that. So I hope you guys like these templates. I've definitely done my research and saw what is working and what's not working before I created these templates, and I definitely think you can be very successful if you follow some of these, at least the structure, but obviously switching to fit your own type of content. So with that, I wanted to add a few more tips that I did not tell you guys on the tips and tricks, but just to show you how and why I implemented some of these things. The first one is, you can see in all of these templates, I added room here for you to add your domain. So this is actually not only helpful, but it's advisable that you do this by Pinterest, because one, it gives you extra brand visibility, brand awareness. Someone might actually not save or click your pin right away, but they would see your domain, and then as they see multiple ones, they're like, okay, actually I want to check this out. I've liked a few of these pins already. Or a lot of times these pins take you to a specific page of your domain, of your website, or it takes you to one of your website. Let's say it takes you to your Instagram account, but you also want to tell people where they can find the most amount of content around your brand, which would be your domain. If you don't have a domain, like we don't have it yet, I mean, we just have YouTube, our YouTube channel for now, you can just add your business name. It doesn't have to be a domain. You can just add your business name, like we have been adding to Sumner and Alley. But I definitely think it's important, even though sometimes it's very discreet. It's fine, and it should be, because it's not the most important piece of information of that pin. I definitely think you should add, even if it's just your logo or something like that. And then next, another thing that I wanted to show you guys that I liked implementing here is that even though I told you guys that you should avoid using scripted fonts, you will see that I use it here in a few instances. Number one, as I mentioned before, I only use it for one, maybe two words at the most. And then two, as I also mentioned, I play with the size. If it is a font that it's harder for you to read, and that doesn't go just for scripted fonts, let's say it's just a very thin font, then I make it very big, so it's easier for the user to see and quickly read it. And then the third rule is that I use scripted fonts for words that the user already expects to read. And what do I mean by that? If you look at this image, you immediately see makeup products. So the user automatically knows, okay, this is going to be about makeup. I see lipstick, I see foundation or eyeshadow. So that is the word that I'm using, the scripted font. It's giving them the extra help to understand that harder to read font, which is makeup, by giving them the extra layer of the information, which is the image. The fourth rule is that sometimes I use it, I'm going to show it to you guys down here, is that I use it for a lot of times when it's not the main word, when it's more of a compliment, and it's going to bring that inspirational feel. But this one, for example, a weekend in the Oregon coast. The most important keyword here is Oregon. But then this one, I actually use all of the other rules as well, and it's just one word for coast. It's bigger. It's not the biggest, because again, it's not the most important one. Oregon is the most important keyword. It also goes with the image. So you see there's the sea. And then four, it's not the main keyword. And with that being said, let's go ahead and actually create a pin so I can show you guys exactly the whole step-by-step process. So I'm actually going to use this template right here. So okay, the first thing I'm going to do is that I actually already uploaded a photo here that I want to use, which is this one that we took. And I'm just going to drag it, and then I'm going to double click because I wanted to show this edge here. Okay, and now you can see you can barely read the text, but first I'm going to go ahead and change it and write Floripa, which is another way that people call the island of Florianopolis. And then I'm going to make this text white. And I'm actually going to bring this down here. And that Floripa is actually not the main keyword because there's not enough search volume for this keyword. So what I'm going to do is, as I saw on our keyword research, that was a well-searched keyword, I'm going to make this black. There you go. So you definitely want to use the keyword in your pin. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And I'm going to add another layer of text here. I'm going to copy and paste over here. And then I'm going to use a scripted font. And then the last thing is I'm going to change this domain here and just say Sumner and Alley. And there you go. Now we're ready to actually create our board and our first pin together. Let's go. If you're going to be creating pins that you already know you want to use for your Pinterest ads, then I have two important tips for you that is going to save you money and have better results with your advertising for sure. So the first one is going to be to include the price of your product or service on the pin graphic. And that is because when it's a standard pin, people can see the graphic and they can still click on it and find out more information before they actually go to the destination URL. But for promoted pins, when they see the graphic and they click on it, it goes straight to the final URL and you're charged for that click. So let's say someone is interested in your product, they love your graphic, but the price point, they can't really afford it, it's out of their price range, you just wasted a click. you might think that you don't really want to have the price point to not send people away, but you definitely want to send the right people away, or I would say the wrong people. You only want to people who are highly interested in, are interested based on the price as well on your product, to click on your promotion, on your promoted pin, and actually be taken to the destination URL. So first is to include the price on the graphic itself. But if you are promoting a pin that later on, let's say you created a pin, did not have the price, and it performed really well, and you decided to promote it, before you do that, go ahead and edit the pin. You can edit the pin, edit the title to have that price point in the very beginning of the title, so you can have that same effect. Because if I open here on another page, you can see this example here. Promoted pins, you can see the beginning of the title. So obviously the image is what catches your attention the most, but you can see the beginning of the title. And if you see 39 whatever, it's a cruise, I don't know, $500 cruise, are you interested in the $500 cruise or not? If it's out of your price range, you won't even click on it, and that person is not going to be charged. But if that sounds good to you, then that is a highly interested person, and that increases your chances to make that sale. And the second tip is to try to use as much as you can video pins. And that is because, as we already talked about, video pins are so eye-catching. Like right now, what jumps out in front of you? It's most likely the video pin that it's moving. Even with bright colors over here or bright colors over here, this is definitely what catches my attention the most. So if you want to be wiser with your money when creating Pinterest ads, make sure to do those two things: include the price, and try as much as you can to incorporate videos. It could be just something moving as well, as we mentioned before. It doesn't have to be a full-on video, as long as it makes sense, obviously, for your ad. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, leave those in the Q&A below, and let's get to the next video.